Princess Celestia, the Changeling Queen. Chapter 12, Part 2.
Do not even think of blaming my troops for your mistakes. It is our responsibility to protect the ponies in the south, but there is no way that we could have covered the entire border. And has every pony forgotten that these are changelings, and that they can disguise themselves as ordinary ponies? We don't even know how long the changeling plans have been in motion.
I didn't disagree with Annabelle. Although the general did have 3 regiments, including our foreign legion based in Baltimore, there was no way the entire border could have been watched, not at the current mobilization levels, and especially since she was dealing with changelings. Your inability to keep an eye on the movements within your own turf, Annabelle, had almost cost us our capital, retorted Caesar. I was about to rebuke Caesar, but was cut off by a hoof slamming on the table. Turning, I blinked, as Iron Duke, a snarl on his normally restrained features, rose on his hind legs. Caesar, that's enough! If General Bell had spread her forces wide enough to cover the border, she would have run the risk of her cities being overrun by any unseen threats. We should be lucky that none of those southern cities have ever been attacked by changelings.
Besides, Caesar, where were your dragoon guards?
Inquired Bloody Guts, the pony still lying laconically on his seat. It was like all the chatter and buzz in the chamber was sucked out. I watched Caesar bite his lip and squirm uncomfortably in his chair as the weight of so many gazes began to bore onto him. I wanted to step in and spare the old commander the pressure that he was facing, but my curiosity wouldn't abate. The Dragoon Guards were my elite guards ponies. They didn't watch over me from day to day like the standard Royal Guard, but when I had personally led campaigns or in emergency situations, they were the first on the scene. And I had heard nothing about their involvement in the attack on Canterlot, and I needed to know why. The Dragoon Guards were deployed right after we saw the shield fall. We engaged the changelings with the objectives being the reclamation of the main castle. However, when I heard of your fall, we changed our priorities to securing Princess Luna and evacuating Canterlot. My eyes widened, barely noticing the outcries and the gasps of the surrounding ponies. My decision at the time was undertaken chiefly because Her Highness had fallen. This meant that Chrysalis was stronger than Her Highness, and therefore, it would be foolish to try to confront the Changeling Queen. To make a stand with Princess Luna, who had only recently recovered from being purified by the elements of harmony, would be a foolish mistake. Canterlot was being ambushed, and we had also received news that the 2nd Royal Guard was in complete disarray. Not to mention that we had lost contact with the Lunar Guard in the chaos. While I could have ordered the Dragoon Guard to retake the castle proper, I was unsure if we could really deal with Chrysalis, if she was able to defeat Her Highness. Thus, I attempted to curb our losses and create an opportunity to reassemble our forces against this new threat, explained Caesar. To my annoyance, I realized that at the moment of my apparent death, things must have looked horribly grim from a tactical standpoint. Inwardly, I groaned, as I was reminded of my mistake of underestimating my sister.
I appreciate your cautionary judgment, Caesar, but rest assured, the next time that I deal with
Your Highness, under no circumstances should you confront Chrysalis again without the support of our military, explained Iron Duke. I felt my eyes widen as the normally deferential Iron Duke interrupted me.
And why precisely should I obey that order?
I demanded, my voice caustic. This time it was Bloody Guts who spoke up.
With all due respect, Your Highness, you were defeated by Chrysalis. We cannot risk losing you again. If Chrysalis is stronger than you are, then we must take into account as her chief target will be you. But if you're actually stronger than her and care to explain why you failed to stop her, then we will do our best to trap Chrysalis in a favorable confrontation with you.
My shoulders tensed as I struggled not to flinch. I had always deliberately kept my generals in the dark as to how powerful I really was. It was a ploy meant to keep them in awe of me and to protect myself. But now they had begun to doubt, to question that I was no longer invincible. The point is, Your Highness, is Chrysalis stronger than you? Asked Iron Duke. I opened my mouth, but words wouldn't form in my brain. My thoughts receded, like the tide going out, leaving only excruciating blankness.
No, she isn't.
I finally croaked, my throat suddenly dry and rough as desert sand. I couldn't let them know that I messed up, that I had underestimated my sister and let her overpower me. I couldn't let my generals know that despite my long years of hoarding love away, I was afraid that my sister was stronger than me. The sun and moon were cruel burdens and sapped most of my love that I had gathered. My power was great, but I never truly knew the extent of my sister's might. She had had years to perfect and hone her enhanced changeling abilities, including the hypnotism that she used on Shining Armor, granted to her for being an ascended queen. I had never ascended, and in that respect she had a distinct advantage. If my generals knew about this, they would worry about me, fret for my safety. Chrysalis was my fight. No pony else's. But how was it that you were defeated by Chrysalis, then? Asked Iron Duke. Even Hannibal, who I taught as a filly, looked uneasily at me.
It doesn't matter,
I said dismissively. My officers protested, but I ignored them, shouting out their exclamations. But Princess, it does matter. We're talking about your life here, argued Shining Armor. I snarled, furious at the doubt of my own officers, of my own guard captain. Hurriedly, I suppressed my rage, but the room was silent once more.
Captain, I appreciate the sentiment, but I can handle Chrysalis on my own,
I said, but even as I spoke, I felt my statement's emptiness.
Princess Celestia?
Stuttered a voice. I turned to see Twilight, her hoof raised and her stack of notes on the table.
Every pony here is just concerned for your safety. Please. We know that you want to protect every pony from Chrysalis and that you don't want any pony to worry.
I observed a few of my officers, coughing from being told of what they knew, but Caesar, Annabelle, and the rest of my elite commanders simply nodded in agreement.
If you could just please tell us how and why you lost to Chrysalis, then every pony can help you think of ways to triumph over her the next time you meet.
Concluded my faithful student, but I sighed.
It's not as simple as that, Twilight. Chrysalis is too dangerous for any pony other than myself to face.
May Celestia strike me down if I involved any more ponies than I had to in my conflict with my sister. Shining Armor's raised hoof caught my attention. Princess, this is Equestria's fight, not just your fight with Chrysalis. She has attacked our capital, declaring war. If you lose, Equestria loses. You may want to protect us, but we're already involved in this conflict. Not letting us how powerful you are will not allow us to plan for the inevitable confrontation between Chrysalis and her hive. You'll just be endangering us instead of aiding us. I almost groaned aloud. Why did every pony seem to come up with so many reasonable arguments against me? Damn the stupid disguise. If only I could just tell every pony that Chrysalis was my traitorous sister and that I reserved the right to punish her for killing our mother.
I assure you all that I can deal perfectly well with Chrysalis by myself. My defeat at the royal wedding was a mistake on my part. I underestimated Chrysalis and never even used all of my strength.
I conceded. My generals grumbled, annoyed that they couldn't get the information that they wanted. But some seemed comforted though.
If that's the case, Princess, then I guess we don't have anything else to worry about. I mean, even not at full power, I heard that you were able to make Chrysalis squirm quite a bit. If we were ever to launch an attack on Chrysalis's hive, I'm pretty sure that you would be able to deal with her, at least on equal footing. Not that we know where Chrysalis's hive is anyway,
said Hannibal.
It is in the Badlands, likely in the Grand Canyon,
informed Luna, placing an onyx black miniature changeling onto the model. Every pony in the room stared once again at Luna, who blushed.
We have captured some changelings, and our interrogations with them have revealed the location of their hive.
There was a great hubbub, as the revelation of the changeling hive's location caused the officers to go in a frenzy.
Well, what are we waiting for, Your Highness? Give us the order, and we'll crush them,
declared Hannibal, excitedly.
General Hannibal, I don't believe that would be the best course of action. While I don't doubt the capability of your forces, any attack on the changeling's home will be met with great resistance, and most likely great casualties,
warned Bloody Guts. Guts, I don't see the problem with their strategy. As long as we plan this out carefully, it should work. A quick decisive strike from both the air and ground will envelope the canyon, pin them in the ravine, and defeat them, pointed out Ermaine. The problem, Generals Ermaine and Bell, one that I am rather shocked that you are not aware of, is that Equestria's military is not offense-oriented. We are in no position to launch an offensive of any type against any enemy nation, growled Caesar.
Salad, we won't win this war by fighting defense. We have to take this battle to the enemy, retorted
Hannibal. On the contrary, Hannibal. Given Equestria's railway system that connects every city to Canterlot and the positioning of regiments within every major city, we should be quite well suited to fight a defensive war. The changelings will have to throw themselves at our fortified troops and garrisons, where we can win any battles handily, said Iron Duke. Hannibal looked murderous, but Shining Armor held up his hoof. I understand your argument, Iron Duke, but the changelings probably know that we are better at defense. Coming from personal experience, I know that the changelings are experts in infiltration. Shining Armor bit his lip in embarrassment, as the room filled with chuckles and raised eyebrows. They could have scouted the layout of our regiments and already infiltrated our armies. If they train and prepare for a calculated offensive strike, they actually have a chance of doing damage. I do believe that we will win in the long run, but we need to be aware that they know we will be on the defensive. My captain raised a valid point. My sister would have undoubtedly scouted out my forces. Burrowing in was not without its risks.
I agree, Captain Armor. Colonel Stonewall?
I asked. Stonewall paused for a moment, and then spoke quickly.
I would also like to end this conflict as decisively as possible. Anything else will provide a drain on our military resources, and already, mistrust is forming within our ranks. If this situation drags on, our forces will begin to lose their morale.
It was then Lieutenant Sharp slamming himself onto the table and snarling, making most of us jump in our seats. Are you all mad? Alright, let's just say that we actually do manage to even cross the desert, approaching the Changeling's homeland without our armies being harassed and our supply lines being cut by infiltrators running amok in our ranks and at home. What then? Our regiments aren't even fully mobilized yet, and most of our soldiers in them are untrained greenhorns who haven't even seen any battles worth remembering. Our commissioned officers are noble bureaucrats who posture with all their fop and knowledge but don't know a thing when it actually comes to soldiering. The entire table began to bristle. Annabelle looked as if she might fly across to beat Sharp up, and her mane had fixed the lieutenant with dagger-like glowers. As for myself, I was quietly considering Sharp's points. The lieutenant was right about the dangers of launching an attack. I knew that there was no way Chrysalis infiltrated this meeting of military officials. The encryption of the notice meant that I was the only changeling in this room. But the risk that was posed by even lower-level military officers or even civilian contractors working with the military was still too high for my liking. Regrettably, I also realized that Sharp's assessment of the majority of commissioned officers was correct. Even if they weren't noble bureaucrats, most of my lower-ranked commissioned officers lacked actual combat experience. I have a feeling that after that whole meeting is over and done with, most or all of those officers are gonna argue with each other. If they don't, I would actually be very shocked. Now let's get on to our purely amazing donators. Top donators: TacoCat598, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, Darkside, Ponyman, and Gauntlet. Zar630, Strix, Raiden, Narwhals, Black Moonheart, Drake Lovedragon, Pastel Skies, Dospo, Madman Stan, Delta Omega, Jack Hedge, RuneScythe9852, Hunter Norman, Dash of Evergreen, Rhyny Dragonwolf, Tal Rasha, The Toilet Snake, Sword Brother and Mordred, Rondon Wandering, Ren and Person Man Guy, Easy, Skyochia, Leslie Prickett, Jordan Peterson, Crimson Kids NA9, Lightskin, Monster Kitty, Tim Bob, Starlight Glimmer, Lightning Blitz, Squiddy Boy, David E. Sanchez, Soul Dragon, Gaggy, Trey, Shadow Drake, Joe Pierce C, Hunter Mara, Alex F, Rainbow Dash, Teal'c Anderson, TV Killer, John Becker, Leon Reynolds, Raven Speedster, Zach Rakau, Mystery CU, Edgar Garcia, One Kingdom 1, Nissa Rusan, Vazuri, Dyslexic Character Sheets, Just a Random Boy, Hodrick Plincart, A Crazy Person, Ponyman365, Neapolitan, 6 of 9, Shyfire, Stamp, and Down Baseri. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.